As you've seen the tanks on the side here, we get the, we have the tanks rolled off site. And then if you take a look at our little jig here, I'm just getting ready to roll his coffee right off of that. So basically, this is the Amish version of a robotic welder. So when they weld, generally when they have a special clamp made here, the jig, and they clamp them together, and then once they have everything tacked up, you can see along the side here, or along the bottom here. So when you get your tank smokers, the seam will usually be on the bottom, so you never see that seam. But then, so that we can get a nice even weld all the way around, we had this weld fixture made. They'll just be sitting here on a little chair, and they'll just hold their welder right there, and this thing will just turn itself. Usually, they're probably welding somewhere in that speed right there. And then they'll just sit there and hold it till that wraps all the way around. And as you can see, it just gives a nice even weld. And just about everything we make is single piece flow. So you're not going to see piles of parts laying on the floor. We build one at a time. They'll pull the paperwork. They have a slot here for their trailer orders. They'll pull the paperwork and they'll come in, they'll cut their frame, put it into the jig as the saw's cutting their pieces. Basically, when the last piece is cut, it's ready to be tacked together and welded up. So they get made upside down, and then when somebody here that can demonstrate this thing coming out. So when this thing's ready to come out, like it is now, right? This is ready to come out. You'll pull the pin. And we need to get the thing right side up. Need a hand with it? And then they have their standard process that they do. I'm not sure when they finish the top welding and stuff, but so when this is ready, they'll grab the forklift, they'll grab their tank, and they'll bring it over and they'll set it on the and then it continues on down the line. So as you're looking down the end here, at any given time throughout our busy season, you'll end up seeing 3 or 4 trailers set up in this line here. So this is the basically the large trailer line, which includes all the TS smokers and also all the BBQ, the chicken flippers, the 96s, the 144s, and then the new 64Ps. They're small enough. We have this jig can do that as well, but we also have a smaller jig strictly for the 64Ps. So some of the smaller cells can do that as well. So here's this is the Firebox work cell. So this is going to have an insulated firebox. So our fireboxes anymore all get laser cut. So they'll come in. There's a 2-piece. For the laser or for the insulated fireboxes, there's 4. There's 4 sides to it. This is the inner one. So this is the inner wall here, and again, they have a standard process that they go through to get everything together. So then the firebox would be added, and we'll actually see a video of that later over at the shop then, where you can see some of that stuff actually happening as well. Generally, whoever starts the TS250 trailer, they'll stay with the trailer and come all the way down to the line. And basically, they get down to this area here. They're cleaning it up. They're taking all the weld spat off. They're just making sure that no sharp edges. And you know, they really are. They're handcrafted, and they take pride in. I can assure you, they have taken the quality control way beyond what Dad and I ever did. So when Dad had it, it was a farm shop, and farmers don't need pretty, they need function. So we build cookers, they work just great. Some of the edges were a little sharp, maybe a little crudely put together, and then I got involved in it and took it kind of to the next level in aesthetics, make sure everything looks good, and we started playing around with different paints and stuff to try and get a good finish. And now it's to the point where it's not, you know, car showroom quality, but they do a phenomenal job getting this stuff together. So what we got going on here is so he's going to demonstrate this thing. So we do a lot of box pads. So the piece of equipment on the right here is a shear saw. And then come down here, this is set up strictly to take corners out of the corners so that we can end up bending. So if you guys want to tuck up a little bit, he's going to demonstrate here how one of these goes together. Now if this was me doing it, I'd screw it up. I'd make a piece of scrap iron here, but my assumption is he's not going to do that. And this equipment absolutely has no clue what fingers are. They also make sure there's carts here ready for the small work cells. So there's 4 almost identical work cells here, and they could do any one of the PRs, the little BBQ 42s, the Santa Maries, all that stuff gets done here. So when they're done with the cooker they're working on, they'll come in, they'll grab the next cart, there'll be paperwork stuck to the side of it, they'll take it over to their own work cell, and then they'll put it together. These are probably the 2 main bays for back here. The 4th one behind Kyle here, that was the kind of the spare. Well, no, it's not the spare. The one on the left would be the spare. And then this one usually feeds into the big line and also gets all their trays and stuff that goes into the cooker. And then the cooker, John grabs the trays and stuff, but everything's done in sequence. So there's always, again, every rule's kind of, there's exceptions to every rule. So, but when he grabs a BBQ 144, there's supposed to be 4 of the charcoal pans there waiting for him to add to it and take it into the wash bay. And then all the little stuff, these guys, they got a 42 sitting over here. So if Kyle was now getting ready to go, he would walk out, grab the other cart, and now he'd be making the 42 as well. And then the guy that's on the press brake and the shears is also kind of overseeing both lines. So if you guys order 5 or 6 pieces, obviously they're not all in the small line and they're not all in the large line. So everything's being coordinated, and as it's coming out, going into the paint room, generally your whole load is following right after each other. Some of it's feeding in on here and some's coming in on the end. So when they come in here, they'll clean whatever they're doing next, and as it goes into the paint room, we'll walk by, there's a whiteboard on the side here, on the outside, and they jot down the model number that they just did. And so the grate guys, so we have full-time guys on the grate, so they'll know that the next piece is a 250. They'll know the next 4 pieces might be BBQ 42s, because that's what he was marking off. So as it goes in, they mark, and then the grate guys build them in sequence, and then they hang them up on a conveyor outside, and that takes it into the finished final assembly. And at that point, it'll, again, not every time, but when they're ready for that next, the 144s, there'll be 4 144 grates hanging there. If there's 2 42s and a Santa Marie next, that's what's going to be hanging in sequence as they need it. And so generally nothing leaves the shop until it's ready to go on a truck. It's either wrapped to go on a common load where we might have a dozen pieces for you. There's going to be a combination of skidded trailers otherwise, so some of it's going to be skidded up, some we're just going to nail down to the floor of the trailer. But if it's an LTL shipment, which is less than truckload, then everyone gets crated and wrapped up before it goes out the door. It's basically a reorder system. You'll see pink tags, you'll see blue tags, and you'll see green tags. It's all our reorder system. The pink tags are all in-house orders. So they're parts that get made in-house. The greens are all ordered from outside vendors. And the blue is in our off-season. We stock up on parts. We try and store in our off-season, we try and store as much labor as we can in as small of a, so we don't like to stock a lot of stuff, but the stock that we do stock, we're very intentional about the parts and stuff. So the pink is internal. So if there's a pink one, all right, so this is for a BBQ 60G burner. The reorder point is 6. So once we get down to 6, this automatically gets slotted in a designated slot. And then we have designated personnel here that every couple of days, they'll go through, they'll clean out the internal reorder slot. So then if for this, let's say these hinges here, if the reorder number is 6, when they get down to 6, it'll trigger the reorder. They'll pull the card, put it in a designated slot, and they just go about doing their work. The key is to get the reorder point just right to where they're down to about their last one when we call them the pink Kanban guys comes in and restocks it. He never finds out any about that because he's building cookers. Again, that's how it's supposed to work. 99% of the time, that's probably how it does work. Now the green, that could be welding tips. It could be anything. It could be welding wire. It could be laser cut parts. It would be the grids here, the custom grids that we get made. So there's somewhere in every one of them, there's a green sheet of paper. And once that green sheet of paper gets exposed, again, all the grade guys, his job is to build grade. His job is not to order the custom grid. He just pulls that. All this section does here is build stainless steel grate. So everything back here is set up for stainless steel. This jig here, I think, it's a 4-sided jig. Every side of it has multiple jigs. So you're going to have, there's 30 different racks get made, grates get made on this jig here. Again, just spins to what they need. He looks right up on the whiteboard there. So if you see over on Monday, they're not crossed off yet. So those are the last pieces that got in process. So they'll end up making those in sequence. It goes out the little side door, the overhead door. Well, so they're going to get welded together here. They'll flip down here and finish welding, and then all the final cleanup gets done on the other table. There's a dip tank outside. It gets dropped into like a water and like a smokehouse cleaner, and it takes all the grime, takes all the shop dirt off, and then it goes goes inside to a rack or a conveyor, and that goes down into where they end up needing it. So in our busy season, there's usually at least one, probably on average 2 full-time guys back here in our busy season probably, and all they're doing is building stainless steel racks to go into the cookers.
That's cool.
All right, so this is the end of the line here for the equipment. So before we did our transition in shop layout, and we could talk all day about shop layout and lean processes that we adopted here, but that's not what this tour is about. It's about the cookers and how they're produced. But so used to when we painted, we needed 3 days to air dry the paint before we could actually get on it and do the final assembly on it. When we did our process change, we got rid of the old paint booth and we had a drive-in, drive-out paint booth. But more importantly, what we did is it comes with a like a flash cure. So we ended up, so they paint it, they close all the doors once everything's closed to start with, and then they just come out and they hit the cure cycle, and the lights go out, the fan ramps down, and it brings the temperature up. So it brings the temperature up to 140 degrees, and then it'll hold that for 20 minutes, and then the lights will flash again, the lights will come on, the fan will speed up, clean out the system again. And anytime during the heat cycle, if the door goes open, it shuts it off. So again, it's just one of them safety features that you're not going to get in there and kill yourself with the heat and stuff like that, because it'll shut off, and I think you need to come back outside and reset it again, and then it'll do its thing again. After we got that cure cycle gives us, basically it knocks 2 days off of the final assembly. Now if this was a normal working day, this time of the morning there'll probably be 6 or 8 racks hanging right here, stainless steel grate. So they come in on the end, comes downhill, and it stops right here. And then as they use them, they send the cannonball rollers down the other side again, and they're ready to go. But generally, they're in sequence here as they need them. So for the CD, so that they would have a 72 hanging there, a 42 would be next, 2 of the 64 grates next, a PR60 next, and then so this is a combi. So then you would have all the combi grates sitting there as well, and then the next ones will probably still be in the dip tank or something like that. Generally, on a normal working day, what you see in here is going to be gone by the end of the day, and there'll be a new batch of stuff in here. And as you see, this is not, it is not batch. So this was the one that was required. This was next. So here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I haven't seen what was coming behind it, but they're all different.
So as to order?
Yeah, everything's made to order. During COVID, we were absolutely the only vendor that produced what we said we'll produce and when we said we'll produce it. So even during COVID, we ended up having 13 weeks lead time. And if you placed the order and we told you which week it'll ship, 99% of the time it was shipped that week, or it was ready that week. Again, that was due to the processes that we already had in place, and we were able to adjust. And some of the process, one of those process is to make sure you schedule correctly, and then get it on time. But it was extremely challenging during that time because we had supplier issues, thermometers. It was just, yeah, it was a challenge. It was serious. So then this, as you see out, so we're just going to gravitate on over. So this is generally, a lot of this stuff is going to get loaded here. As you can see, there's piles, different types of stuff. So if we did everything in batches, then
you'd see huge batches of the same thing, and we'd always be out of something. I mean, it's impossible not, if you do batch work, it's impossible almost not to be out of something. And this is my future welder here. He said he wants to work in Grandpa's shop, so I guess we're going to try and accommodate that.